YouTube Go in the Goat House is back with an updated NFL mock draft. 2 rounds here. We just updated my mock draft yesterday. And then right after the Saints and Eagles trade went down, which is a very significant draft trade. We graded that, broke it all down, most recent video. So everything changes. Also yesterday, there was loads of draft buzz, trusted sources. Of course, some of it's real and some of it's smoke. So within this mock draft, we're trying to decipher all that stuff. But that's kind of what this mock is based on. What we're hearing, we're not going to believe everything though. So tweaking some things here and there. So actually a lot of changes just in a day based off a big trade and some serious draft buzz. So I'm very excited to break it down. Feel good about this one. Follow our Twitter for live updates, draft talk. We're doing a fan-voted mock draft right now. I believe we're on the Texans pick. So that's all going down on the Twitter. We'll make a video out of that, of course. Day 2 and 3 we'll be covering live on Twitter. Day 1 will be right here live on YouTube, breaking down each pick. So really excited. So make sure you like, subscribe to your notifications on. We got the full coverage here. We got you covered. Here's our Twitter. Again, a lot of updates, what's going on with the channel, what's going on around the NFL. So make sure you check that out. So at the top 8. So, yeah, back to Aidan Hutchison, first overall. I discussed that Evan Neal. I view Evan Neal as making sense with the Jaguars. I can argue both sides. Just keep hearing, it's not a lock, but it's growing closer and closer. The Jaguars taking Hutchison 1. Could there be smoke involved in the first overall pick? Typically, no. But maybe if they want somebody to come up and give them a haul for the pick and they're kind of pushing that they're taking this guy, that kind of changes the landscape of the draft, right? So it's possible. I'd say it's unlikely. But Hutchison in for a visit yesterday. We saw he posted that on his Instagram. Other guys will be coming in for a visit. I know Ikwanu was in there for a visit. But, besides that, we're hearing Hutchison's going 1, which I don't think anyone's saying it's a lock, but it's almost getting there. Besides that, why it makes sense. Well, they tagged Cam Robinson. I suppose they tagged him for a reason. They still have Jawan Taylor. They have Walker Little. I keep hearing they like him, but it is a new staff in there. And you just get better with the pairing of Hutchinson and Josh Allen, and they're going to take whoever's number 1 on their board. We just don't know who that is. Most people assume it's Hutchison. To me, why Evan Neal makes sense is because, yes, they tagged Cam Robinson. He hasn't signed that tag yet. That's kind of what's kind of playing with me a little bit. And if he does sign, it's only a 1-year deal. Jawan Taylor, who's not a sure thing starter, is a 1-year deal. Walker Little, who isn't a sure thing, has injury concern, limited snaps last year. Felt like that was an Urban Meyer former 5-star type pick, but that doesn't mean he can't be good. That definitely doesn't mean that. And you got to protect Trevor Lawrence. So there's reasons, and Neal plays at a very high level, especially in pass protection, left or right. So Neal, to me, makes a lot of sense. But predict the pick. We're going off most of what we're hearing. Again, trying to figure out what's smoke and what's not. So we're going Hutchison first. They get better with their pass rush duo. Yesterday, I keep hearing Travon Walker to Lions is realistic. There's a group of people that are pretty trustworthy as well that really think they're taking Malik Willis too. And I can see that, and I did that in a mock before. It's just the Lions. They drafted so well last year. I love that draft class. I love that draft class. It was full of taking the best player available, in my opinion. And they're looking for specific type of guys, right, while taking best player available. So it would contradict that a bit. It would contradict it a bit, taking a quarterback from this class, number 2 overall. So that is why I'm going Walker. I think they'll really like Walker. They're not in stage 1 of that rebuild anymore, but they're somewhere in there, right? They're growing. But Walker, the ultimate upside guy, they get him in there. They can play him. They can play him multiple different spots, off the edge, standing up, hand the dirt, put him in, on the D line with their, the couple of studs they drafted last year. They got 2 of them from last year, who I like a lot. I keep saying, right now on tape, Walker's probably better from inside because he just dominates guards with his length and power and speed, mainly his length. But very solid stuff, off the edge as well. Just has to develop more. But you can do so many different things with them. It just feels like they will like him a lot, and they'll get the most out of him going down the line in the future. So if Hutchinson's available, and the Lions probably go Hutchinson, maybe a little more of a fit. But in this scenario, and they go Walker, who's a big-time draft riser. Again, I keep calling him the ultimate upside prospect from this class. Texans, I went to Ahmad Gardner here. And I think they will. I keep hearing this, actually. They really like Well, I hear they like Gardner, actually, but they really like Travon Walker. And I've had that mock before because they're very early in the rebuild process still. They didn't go crazy in free agency this year because they want to, they're not trying to win right now. They don't want to jump on that too early. That's a mistake by teams being too confident. So they're still very early in that process of rebuilding. So Walker would make a lot of sense. I think he fits Lovie Smith's defense. But Gardner also fits that as well. We're going to see a lot of cover two, but the best cover two corners are going to sell man coverage. They have to have the ability to press and really play man to be able to play cover two at a high level. And Gardner can do all that. Movement skills are off the charts as well. So in this scenario, and the Texans go Gardner. I keep hearing offensive line's a possibility. It's just really going to come down to how they view Titus Howard. Do they view him at tackle? Do they view him at guard? Do they just, he's not really in their plans long term? I doubt that's the case. That's what it's going to come down to. It's something we don't for sure know, but I think it's very possible that Tunsil and Howard are the starting tackles to start next year, but we will see. Can you pass on Evan Neal, who's a ridiculous pass protector, right, to protect Davis Mills? But I'm going to go Gardner in this scenario. They've kind of left the cornerback position pretty wide open. I think he really fits their defense, and a lot of rave reports, high reports on Ahmad Gardner, his character and his play. So we'll go him at 3. The Jets going Evan Neal at 4. It's a tough one because I thought, I really, really, really love the fit of Kayvon Thibodeaux. I kind of want them to take. I love Neal though too, but just because of the fit, I really like Thibodeaux. I didn't think I was going to change my mock on that part with Thibodeaux for the Jets unless I had him going earlier. But here we are. A lot of buzz about the offensive lineman yesterday. A lot of buzz coming out, trying to figure out what's true, what's not. It sounds like the tackles are going to fly off the board around this range. Possibly 3, right? Starting at 3, it's possible, but it's more likely they're going to start flying off the board around 4. There's so many teams desperate for tackles. Teams missed out on some tackles in free agency. We got some top tier ones here. And another thing that I heard is the Jets are expected to take a tackle early. Now, they have 2 picks in the first round. They have 2 picks in the second round. So that can mean anything. To me, it didn't really feel like smoke. You just got to figure out where they're looking to take that tackle. So I sit here and I'm thinking, if they want to tackle, there's a big, big difference between Neal or these guys around 4 and even the guys around pick 10. Look at the second round. There's a major, major difference. And Neal, to me, is the best in the class. He's not the best run-blocking tackle in the class, but he's the best in class overall because he's so good as a pass protector. But you look at the Jets' current tackle situation. George Fant played left tackle last year. He looked pretty solid. He's got 1 more year left in his deal. But is that a sure thing? A little cautious with that maybe. And Becton, who looked good as a rookie, but didn't, get to play under the new coaching staff last year. And do they like him at right tackle? Do they like him? There's so many different scenarios here. You can bring in Neal, you can play him at left, or you can play him at right. You can keep Fant, or you can keep Becton. So there's different scenarios. So they may need a tackle unless they view, that's the tricky part, or unless they view Fant and Becton is their duo long term. I think they might be a little cautious with that, and they see the talent out here at the top. So taking a tackle at 10 doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Or in the second round, it just doesn't really feel like it's worth it with the other needs. It's kind of go big or go home. That's exactly what it is. I know I use that phrase a lot, but I think that's exactly what that is. It's if you're gonna go tackle, you go big, Evan Neal, or you go home. So feeling like it's not smoke. All of a sudden, the Jets are looking for a tackle at a high pick. Didn't say specifically what pick, but for the reasons I explained, it feels like this at 4 with Evan Neal there. Then you got to take him. The Giants go with Ken McWanu. I think they would love to have Evan Neal. I think Evan Neal is going to be number 1 on their board. I'm pretty confident with that, watching the tackles and looking at fits, in Daboll's scheme. But Ikwonu has a chance to play tackle at a pretty high level in the Giants scheme. I like him a little better at guard in their scheme, but that doesn't mean they're going to go guard. But I think he kind of got either one there. But yeah, it could be that Pro Bowl level guard, but do you take him at 5 if that's where you're going to play him? I don't see why not. That's just kind of the big question. Do they like him at tackle? Do they like him at guard? I know they probably like Neal better for tackle. Who's the better pass protector in Daboll's scheme? They want to pass the ball, right? But they go Ikwonu at 5 and then kind of have more versatility on the offensive line. Panthers go Malik Willis. A lot of buzz with the Panthers at 6, and I kind of go over the big buzz yesterday, besides the Saints-Eagles, what they're going to do, what their plan is, was offensive lineman. They're going to fly off the board, and I heard that Charles Cross is a name to watch with the Panthers. From a pretty good source, obviously. And I think it's possible. I do think Charles Cross going to the Panthers is possible. That'd be the third tackle in a row here. But I think it could be a little bit of smoke. I think they could like Cross. Apparently that came from multiple teams within the league kind of believe that. Like, hey, the Panthers, it feels like they really like Cross. So it felt like it could be legit. They could like Cross. But to me, in this scenario, which basically the buzz is saying these pass rushers are going to go at the top, Gardner's going to go earlier than think, the tackle's going to run off the board. So in this scenario, the quarterbacks get pushed back a little bit, right? They get pushed back a little bit. So if the Panthers are on the board at 6 and Cross is there, who they like, I could believe that. But they get their pick at any quarterback. I think they're taking a quarterback. If they get their pick from anyone, which sounds like now it could be the case, and I think that's why the Saints did what they did. I think they know that a quarterback's going to slip through to them. We'll talk about the Saints and that big trade with the Eagles. I think it makes sense the quarterbacks could slip a little bit. It doesn't make sense for somebody to trade up ahead of the Panthers for a quarterback in this class. So they take Malik Willis. I've also heard that they maybe want more of the pro-ready guy. I think they can. I don't know. It's going a guy like Pickett, over Willis. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think they can. I think Willis could be more pro-ready than people think. I think you look at Liberty. I think he had his work cut out for him in that Liberty system. Not the best game plans, play calling, but it was tough what they had to work with there. Not the best, not the best talent around Willis. Was sacked a lot. Felt like it was more of the offensive line's issue. Obviously, than Willis. So I think the Panthers get that talented quarterback in there with a lot of upside. And since they have their pick at the guys, they go with him. The Giants, Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge rush from Oregon. So this is where it gets really interesting because Thibodeaux, I think, should, in my opinion, go earlier in this because he's extremely talented pass rusher, could stand up, hand the dirt, and drop in coverage. I love the get off. Best get off in the class from the pass rushers. Very athletic, obviously. I really think the Giants, they really want Gardner. I've been saying that for some time, and now there's some buzz coming out. They really, really like Ahmad Gardner. They're looking for a man coverage corner. So this could be Derek Stingley here. I do think there is a bit right now based on the recent play splitting up Gardner and Stingley. Gardner off the board. Do they trade back and get Stingley maybe? But you're sitting here with Thibodeaux on the board, who really by talent shouldn't be here. They're in need of a pass rusher. I know Martindale likes to have pass rushers drop in coverage. He's not going to, go get the guys that just purely get after the quarterback at the highest level. But that could be Thibodeaux as well. It's just too hard to pass. But this could be a trade back spot. Falcons, not too much buzz on the Falcons. You think there would be right now, like, oh, the Falcons are going quarterback. They're doing their homework on quarterback, but nothing really coming out there. I think they're putting themselves in a position to, kind of be in that stage 1 rebuild. And they have loads of future cap space, possibly put themselves in the running for a guy like C.J. Stroud next year, who's, to me, after watching the Ohio State receivers, I like them even more. So the Falcons might be in that conversation. They take Ohio State receiver here in Garrett Wilson, who can play outside, inside, spectacular after the catch, great footwork, obviously can do multiple different things with him. So they need a receiver so badly. And I also, some buzz, I keep hearing that the receivers, including mainly the 2 Ohio State receivers, Wilson Olave and Jameson Williams, are supposed to go a little bit earlier than everyone's been mocking them. So Garrett Wilson, the Falcons at 8, made some sense. Next, so the Seahawks, Charles Cross slips through, like we talked about the offensive tackles. So there's a lot of buzz. We talked about the Panthers being linked to Cross. There's a lot of buzz on Cross and him shooting up boards now. Before we didn't really know. So this is kind of the latest I had him. It's tough, though, because will the Seahawks view him as a fit? Because he's mainly a pass protector. So what do the Seahawks want to do with their new offense? Is it different because Russell Wilson's gone? It's tough to figure out, but it's just tough with the buzz that Cross is getting right now, and that some people are saying, maybe he doesn't get by pick 6. It's tough to get him, see him. And I think that could be a little bit of smoke because the Panthers could be wanting to pick their quarterback out of the group. But it's tough to see Cross get by this point. I keep hearing Penning could go here as well. Penning can go 9 or 10. I keep hearing that. It's too early for me for Penning. I know it's predict the pick, and he could go earlier, but maybe they view Penning as more of a fit, but it's hard to see Cross not being the third offensive lineman off the board here. So Seahawks go that route. And then the Jets, They get their pass rusher now in Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. I feel like they're really I keep saying they're going to like that outside speed receiver, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, one of those guys. But they go offensive lineman with their first pick. Now they get that pass rusher in Jermaine Johnson to the Jets, who another guy, very athletic, can put his hand in the dirt, rush that way, stand up, go that way. So I think the Jets are kind of looking for that there. But like we said, based on the buzz, they're expected to take offensive linemen early. I heard them linked to Penning a little bit. It's just tough for me. It doesn't make sense. That's why I went, if they're going to take an offensive lineman early, because you got 2 in there, some questions there, though. Like we said with that first pick, we broke it all down. Just go big or go home. You take Neal. Why mess around with Penning here at 10? It would be a potential backup for them. It's just it makes a lot more sense this way if what we're hearing is true, right? Commanders at 11, Devin Lloyd. The downside of this is, going linebacker again. They went kind of surprisingly. I think we started to hear about that a day or two before the draft. They go Jamin Davis, but it's a little surprising, based off the offseason. If you would have said they were taking Jamin Davis 2 weeks before the draft, you'd be like, what are you talking about, right? But back-to-back linebackers, I think you can play those guys together. It's a spot they could improve at, right? Jamin Davis still trying to find his way as well. Devin Lloyd's so good. I watched the tape. I think people saw him run a 4.7 unofficial, end up being in the 4.6s at the combine. How early you take that guy, that's not slow. I think people act like it's slow. But you put the tape on, and this guy's really good. Just extremely good in coverage, extremely good blitzing and rushing off the edge. Something I noticed is Washington actually blitzed quite a bit more than expected last year, and you're trying to get more unique from your defense, not the same old Rivera defense, and you're trying to get better play from the linebacker position. So pair Lloyd with Jamin Davis. I know they got other guy, Cole Holcomb, could be a solid rotation guy. So they go Lloyd here. Another guy that I've heard is supposed to go earlier than people are talking about right now. Kind of going back to before the combine, right? I think people overreacted the wrong way about the combine. Not even the combine, just based off 140 wrongfully there. So Lloyd, the Commanders there. The Vikings go Derek Stingley. Keep mocking this. I'd look out for the Giants as a possibility at 7. Is that a little bit too early? It's borderline. Nothing ridiculous. The Vikings looking for that man coverage corner here to pair with Patrick Peterson, so they grab Stingley. So a lot of buzz about Hamilton sliding. This is that ultimate guy that could go. He can go 2nd overall, 3rd overall, or he can go down here. And the Texans steal him at 13. I think they'd be ecstatic about that, obviously. But yeah, just keep hearing. Not really. The pro day numbers weren't great, but then you hear people saying, well, scouts told him that he's going to go a little bit later than people have been mocking him, but I could see there could be a team. It just takes one team at the top there to grab him. So I still think it's realistic. I think he can go early, but I think it's realistic to go down here. Apparently there was one source, from within the league that said he can go in the second half of the first round. That's a little much. That's a little extreme for me. So I don't think he gets by this point. It was tough to have him get by, even Washington, Minnesota, but they had some needs to fill there as well with some good players. But the Texans really stacking up that secondary with Gardner and Hamilton. So the Ravens go Trevor Penning. So, I keep hearing buzz around Penning. It was said that this is the very latest he will go. And why would that be smoke? It's not like the Ravens are going to take Penning. That's really not what's being said. But this is the very latest he'll go. We know it's a fit. We know Penning fits the Ravens, power scheme, obviously like to run the ball quite a bit. It's a run blocking guy, tackle that's okay pass protecting. It's just up there at 9, 10 who could have interest in him. Definitely could have interest. Seahawks, Jets. It's just too early for me. And I think 14 is almost a little early, but apparently not. He's expected not to get by this point. My problem with this is they have a number of guys that are kind of competing for that right tackle spot, and they have Stanley at left tackle. So would he be a backup week 1? Are you taking a backup, 14th pick week 1? It's kind of the question. Maybe they don't trust Stanley staying healthy, which would be unfortunate. But, and again, looking at their right tackle, there's no sure thing. Even though they got competition in there now, adding Morgan Moses, there's no sure thing in there, obviously. So it definitely scheme fit, it 100% makes sense. It's just the other things, how much sense does it make here? So now we get into the two teams that were doing some trading, obviously. The wild trade we broke down yesterday. This was the Eagles pick they already had. Jameson Williams still on the board. I like him for the Jets up there at 10. That's a possibility. But still on the board. The Eagles grab him. They grab that speed to pair with Devontae Smith. And they take him at 15. The interesting thing about this is the Saints, did this trade with the Eagles. It feels like they know what they want, but they still got the Eagles one spot ahead of them here, and I really like Jameson Williams for the Saints as well. So could the Eagles just take their guy at 15? But I also really like Chris Olave for the Saints, that outside vertical threat to pair with Michael Thomas, different type of receivers that I'd say complement each other very, very well. Olave will fit Jameis Winston ball with that deep threat, obviously, but again, I like Jameson Williams more for the Eagles and Olave, and the Eagles pick first. Maybe the Saints and the Eagles discuss, and they know that the Eagles aren't going receiver here. Maybe the Saints aren't going for receiver here at all, but I feel like the Williams or Olave. I think they're going to end up with one of those guys. But for the Eagles, Williams made more sense there. He's got some serious speed, obviously. And then the Saints, of course, go Olave with their new shiny pick 16 there. And they got another pick coming up. But the Chargers, then, who the Saints jumped, some people make it like, Saints jumped them. That was their goal. I don't really think so, because I don't think you do this at that point. But I do think the Chargers would like Olave. I think it's a really good fit. Keep hearing the Chargers could move up for a tackle. They're looking for that right tackle, and there's supposed to be a run on tackles. Obviously, some really good ones at the top, and there's a pretty big drop-off, so we could watch out for the Chargers doing that. In this scenario, Jordan Davis slides to him, here, so I think they grab him. They did add some other defensive linemen in free agency. Those are kind of just like, they're solid players, definitely don't get me wrong here, but they're kind of like, Band-Aid. We put the Band-Aid on the run defense. We made it a little bit better here. There's some upside in here, but you get a lot better with Jordan Davis, and this team needs to stop the run a lot better than what they have been. Not just a little bit, maybe more than just, more than a little bit, right? So they go Davis in this scenario. Keep hearing the Eagles like Trent McDuffie. Maybe they take him with their 15th pick. I don't think they're in any danger of these other teams taking McDuffie. I think they need to grab that receiver so the Saints don't take their receiver or the Chargers don't take their receiver with their first pick. Maybe they don't want a receiver at all. I know the fans would be very, very disappointed in them if they didn't go grab, because now they don't have 3 first-round picks. They got 2. If they don't take a receiver, one of these top-tier receivers that are more sure things than the second-round guys, I think there'll be some people upset there. So I think if they wanted him, they're going to take him at 15. It's the same thing with the Saints. If they wanted that receiver, got to worry about the Chargers and the Eagles at 17, 18, maybe the Chargers. But the Eagles go McDuffie, and the Saints go Kenny Pickett. So I'm starting to think, people are thinking, the Saints are doing this to trade up for a quarterback, and I won't rule it out. I think it's possible, right? I explained in the other video. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You trade a big package for a slightly smaller package of picks, right, to have more picks this year, to trade it for kind of one pick, a quarterback from this class. When I say it that way, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think they know, I said it earlier in the video, I think they know, they have a good feeling that a quarterback's going to slide to them because the type of class it is, there's supposed to be a run on tackles, pass rushers, tackles. So I think the Saints know here, and I think they would know if the Eagles were taking a quarterback or not. Really don't think they are. Really feels like they're not. That'd be wild if they did at this point, especially after that trade. So I think they know they can get a quarterback here. The question in this scenario, would it be Kenny Pickett? Would it be Desmond Ritter? I've seen some rumors about them being interested in either one. They're kind of looking for more of that pro-ready guy. I would prefer them to take Ritter. I think they'd be more interested in Pickett, but it's pretty close to 50-50 here. I think they would like Pickett, more pro-ready. I don't think the gloves would bother them. I think it would bother some teams. I think you can run some similar things that what Pittsburgh ran with Kenny Pickett this past year that had him successful, super productive. So I think they'll like Pickett there. I think they'll like him. So he slides through a little bit. And there's some talk about him being the first quarterback taken. The Panthers taking him that early. Maybe it's more of me. I just don't see him going that early. I even know that people keep saying it. I just don't see it. I don't see it on tape. He really needs the right system. So I would like him a little better with the Saints there at 19. The Steelers go Desmond Ritter. I think this is the latest Desmond Ritter goes. I watched a tape recently on Ritter. He's grown on me a bit. Talked about that. It just kind of feels like that guy that NFL teams will really like, that he can go top 10. There's just been no buzz on that. No buzz. There's been some people out there kind of predicting it, but it's just based off what we see, and there's been no buzz on that. Maybe some people worry about his accuracy. I don't think there's more worries about his accuracy than some of the other guys. Pickett is one of the more accurate guys, but Willis, Ritter, Howell kind of in the same range when it comes to accuracy. Sometimes they'll sail a ball over an intermediate route in the middle of the field. It just, I don't think one does it more than the other. Honestly, I'd say Willis maybe does it the most, but he's got just so much talent, athletically and arm talent, the best in the class. So that's why he goes earlier. But the Steelers, it just seems like they're definitely in on a quarterback. I think they would like Ritter here. Then the Patriots go Zion Johnson. Could go a receiver even though they trade for Devontae Parker, but I think they're more likely to go this route. I think it's a great fit. They actually would upgrade then over Shaq Mason because he's on a little bit of a decline. And they shore up their offensive line again here. Drake London ends up slipping through a little bit to 22, so the Packers grab him. Maybe a better version of Lazard here, a better version there, so they'll like him, and they'll still be looking out for more of the starting slot receiver then to pair with London to try to get two guys to make Devontae Adams, So they go London in this route. London's been getting some hype from some people. I think around the league I haven't really heard it. I think there is a little bit of risk because he's kind of just an X-receiver, runs route on one side of the field. He does some great things, with that role. It's just kind of a limited role there. But, you can kind of get him underneath passes, downfield passes. You just kind of been stuck on one side. So it could have been just a USC thing there. Cardinals need defensive line help. I like Wyatt for them for sure. They need a lot of defensive line help, stopping the run, interior pressure, things like that. So they go Wyatt. Cowboys go George Karlaftis. They've been doing their homework on receivers, bringing a lot in for visits. They try to trade for Devontae Parker. It just doesn't make sense. You move on from Cooper and you spend a first-round pick on a receiver with other giant needs. It felt like you were trying to devalue the receiver position a little bit so you can value other things. So it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But if there's a great one here, sure, I don't have a problem with taking it. But Karlaftis, good pro day. I think he really fits the Cowboys. They need that extra pass rusher in there. Take him at 24. I got the chance to watch Mordecai Elam, and I think he's a first-round player. I think teams will like that too. Usually the big corners with the length and the speed, teams love. If they have an opportunity to take him in the first round, they would. If he's got a pretty good tape, if there isn't big flaws, he's got a pretty good tape to me. He's very good in press zone, and the Bills would like that. Definitely need another corner. So some more offensive line. Min going off the board with more offensive line buzz. Tyler Smith, it just seems like he was getting hyped a couple months ago, but it didn't really go much. It was some talk, could he sneak in the first? Kind of went back down to thinking he was a second, but a lot of buzz again. There's a lot of teams in the back end of the first. There's teams that are actually picking early in the first that if they miss out on a tackle, watch out for them to trade up into the end of the first to take Tyler Smith. But a lot of teams linked to him. The Titans are the team most linked to him. I do think he fits their blocking scheme. He's a very good run blocker for a tackle. Some thought he can move to guard. It seems like the Titans really like those versatile guys. I think it's a little early for me to take Tyler Smith at 26. I know the Titans are doing their homework on their quarterbacks. I keep mentioning I think they really, really like Desmond Ritter, but he's off the board. Do they trade up? It's a possibility. But it just really, and the same source that is linking Tyler Smith to these teams, including the Titans, also linked Isaiah, maybe not so much, but Isaiah Wilson, who the Titans drafted a few years ago. Same source linked Wilson to the Titans late first, and everyone's like, that's, including myself, like that's a third-round prospect, late second, earliest. They are not taking him in the first round, right? They took him in the first round. They ended up doing it, and that did not work out. So Smith is not Wilson. I don't think you get the off-the-field issues, but it doesn't really sit well with you here. With another offensive lineman, maybe he plays here, maybe he plays there. They do need one more offensive lineman in there, though. Kenyon Greed, guard from A&M, very good pass-protecting guard. Buccaneers pass the ball a lot. I think it's a good fit and definitely a need. The Packers, I have them doubling up on receiver. It is tough to see the Packers, who have been extremely hesitant at taking receivers in the draft, to do this. I think times are changing, though. I do think times are changing, and they're set up so perfectly here to do something like this. And Rodgers, Something he was unhappy about was the year they took Jordan Love. He did his homework, actually, watched film on receivers, gave the Packers his input, and they didn't take a receiver, right? So I think they got Rodgers to stay even while knowing what's going on with Davante Adams. And they want to – it's impossible to replicate Davante Adams, and they want to spread the thing out more, right? Because the teams doubled up Adams. It was kind of ball game. 49ers in the playoffs. You want to get more talented receivers. That might actually improve you even without Adams. So you get Drake London, the outside receiver, X receiver, and then Treylon Burks is your big slot receiver. I do think the Packers are gearing towards running the ball more as well with their running back duo. You kind of get Burks involved in that. Really throw off some defenses. So I love the pairing of Drake London and Burks here. They're both big bodies, but they're two totally different type of receivers here. So I think, and you look at what the Packers got at receiver right now, Lazard, Cobb, who's definitely declining, and Amari Rodgers, who hasn't really panned out too much for them, but he's still very young, obviously, but he's just a depth guy, right? So you need two more starters. You need two more starters here. So this made sense to me. We'll see if they actually do it. Talked about it last one. I love the Daxton Hill fit with the Chiefs. Absolutely love it. Pair him with Justin Reed. This is your Tyrann Mathieu replacement. He fits their coverage concepts. He can play, strong, kind of playing in the slot. He can play corner. He's a very good blitzer, which the Chiefs like to do with their safeties. He has limited but very good snaps at free safety, which Reed you can come up and bring up, which he same thing kind of last year. Limited but solid snaps at strong safety, so you kind of can flip him if you need to. That pick makes a lot of sense to me. And Sky Moore, which I have noticed for some reason that Chiefs fans they don't want Sky Moore for some reason. I like Sky Moore a lot. I think it's a solid fit. He can play outside, inside, has that footwork they look for, has the after catch ability that they look for. So, sitting here at 30, you got to take him to me. So, I think they will like him as well. Bengals go Tyler Linderbaum, so he slides a little bit. I think it's possible he can slide even more early second because he only fits a handful of teams. He's probably just a center, maybe lacking length a little bit, but the tape is very good. The Bengals added offense lineman. They added Ted Karras, who has some play at center. Just felt like throughout Karras' career, though, he was kind of replaced on and off. And when some guy, but even though he was like good, it was weird. It's just somebody was always better, right? So it's not like he was replaced because he's bad, not even close. But felt like that when he was at center. When he filled in at guard, when he filled in at center, he looked pretty solid. I just don't think it's a sure thing on where he is starting. Right now, it does feel like he's a starting center, and it's a sure thing that he's continuing to be the starter for long term. So I think getting Linderbaum and getting better at center makes some sense there. It makes more sense. So, and the Lions going Quay Walker. Yeah, keep hearing a ton of buzz on Walker. He can go first round. It was hard to plug him in other spots in the first round. This is an easy spot to plug him in. I would not be surprised if he goes ahead of Nkobe Dean, who is known as the better Georgia linebacker. But for prospect, NFL-wise, it could be looking like Quay Walker here. Kind of feels like a big safety the way he moves, right? So the Lions grab that linebacker at 32. Next group of picks, so there's Nkobe Dean. The Jaguars looking to add another linebacker next to Alu Okun. They add Dean, who, again, I think could slip a little bit because teams aren't thrilled with they're not thrilled that he's lacking in length. He doesn't have this crazy speed to the ball. He has some crazy good plays. It's just there's not a lot to jump out of your seat about as in terms of traits, even though he has some really good play, but kind of putting myself in a position of how coaches think, in the NFL. That's how they are. So the Jags would like to have him here. Lions grab the receiver in John Dotson to pair with, Chark and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jets, now since they didn't grab the receiver in the first, they're kind of looking for that speedy outside receiver, so they grab Watson from North Dakota State. The Giants go Sam Howell. I know some Giants fans aren't happy when I have them taking a quarterback because they have Daniel Jones and they have Tyrod Taylor. Nothing set there, though. They got a new staff. I think Howell fits Dabo's system very, very well. So they're not just, it doesn't mean they're guaranteed to take them at all, but not just going to pass on guys because they have two quarterbacks that definitely aren't sure things in there. So I'd say it's possible. So the Texans loaded up on defense. They get their pass rusher now early in that rebuild stage so they can afford to take the injured but very talented David Ojabo from Michigan. Jets now grab their corner. I think they'll like Kyler Gordon, kind of a press zone feeling from him, which they'll like. Boye Mafe, which feels like a first-round pass rusher, very easily can go first round in this scenario. He ended up getting pushed back. And so I think it's realistic as well. I don't think the Bears could pass on him really. But, do they? That's the thing. A lot of these teams up here, if the Jets still need a pass rush, they can take him. The Texans, I think they will view Ajabo as more of a fit. But will the Bears view Mafe as a fit? It's just tough to see him get past any more, further down than this. Could use another pass rusher, though. Seahawks go Matt Corral, so he ends up slipping through. Guy that could go first. Somebody trades up at the end of the first round to get that option on him. It's a possibility. Really thrives in RPO. So he either needs to go to an RPO team or he needs to sit and learn. In this case, which the Seahawks would feel good about taking the second round to have him sit and learn maybe, or start him right away if they feel good. But he has some, wild plays, obviously, but could slip through a little bit. So Seahawks go Andrew Booth, the cornerback that they need, and he's a very good playmaker. I also think he fits there, a lot of cover too. I think Booth will thrive in that. Bernard Raymond, like we said earlier, a lot of tackles, a lot of buzz on the tackles. They're supposed to fly off the board. I haven't heard much on Raymond here though. So, could he go first? Very, very possible. Don't think he gets by this pick. Colts still could be looking for that left tackle. Arnold Ebukete, edge rusher from Penn State. Think he fits the Falcons. They're looking for that edge rusher. I said this last time. I like Mechie as a Jarvis Landry replacement. Mechie's tape was pretty good. I think he can dominate the slot in the NFL. Could actually be even better in the NFL if you put him in a slot. So I think it's a very good Landry replacement. Ravens, Travis Jones, maybe too good to pass, and could pair him with Michael Pierce. Brandon Williams being a free agent. Jones can play D tackle, nose tackle, and Ravens like having a couple of those guys. Vikings looking for that 3-4 end since they're switching their scheme. Logan Hall could definitely fit that. Washington grabs Lewis Seam. Some buzz on him, potentially going first. Free safety that looks pretty good in the box when he plays there, so kind of can do both. And I think Washington will like that. Bears go Dylan Parham. I had this last time. Like the fit. Fast-moving, quick guard that also can play center. NFL teams seem to think. Based off recent buzz. And the Bears will like him, probably plug and play at guard right away. So Saints get their offensive lineman now. They go Daniel Falele from Minnesota. Possibly could work him in at left tackle. Maybe doesn't start right away. Probably doesn't in this scenario. But some thought that he could move to guard. The Saints are pretty okay there in the interior, but so they probably start him off at tackle. Chiefs go Roger McCreary, so they get their man coverage corner there. Could also play some cover two, which the Chiefs like to do. Eagles get their strong safety / slot guy here in P. Trey from Baylor. Steelers kind of looking for that type of guy as well to replace Edmonds. They do have Carl Joseph. They're looking to get better there. Brisker, I think they'll like Brisker. I think he'll fit that strong safety role, pair with Minka Fitzpatrick very well there. Packers looking for their pass rusher to get the athletic, speedy Sam Williams from Ole Miss. Had this last time. I like the fit of Christian Harris or Channing Tindall, both of them. I like either one. Patriots, Cowboys, very similar defense. A lot of man coverage, a ton of man coverage. The highest rates of man coverage in the NFL last year. It really wasn't even close. And then they both blitz a bit as well. And that's kind of what those linebackers fit, right? So Harris to the Patriots. I had this last time too. I love James Cook to the Cardinals. Maybe some don't see that he'll be the first running back taken. Doesn't necessarily mean he's running back one. I think teams will love his receiving upside and his running ability. Pair him with James Conner. It makes a lot of sense there. So I think if you're going to want Cook, I think teams are going to be in love with his ability, his receiving ability mainly, and that he can run too. So I think it's very realistic he could be the first running back taken. So him to the Cardinals, and then Tindall to the Cowboys. Inside linebacker will be used in the blitz game as well. Struggled when he was asked to cover in zone. That was kind of the problem. But Cowboys run a lot of man coverage, and they can use him in the blitz game. Pickens ended up slipping through a little bit. Has some injury concern. Is he just a contested catch outside receiver? So I guess that'd be why he could slip through, but he's fun to watch. Big body guy. He separates more than people give him credit for. Really good contested catcher. I don't think the Bills can pass on him. Kind of add him in the mix with Diggs. The speedy outside receiver. Davis does a bit of everything. They played him from the slot a bit last year at times, which I liked. So adding Pickens, in there. And then something going on with Diggs' contract. I don't see a world where the Bills get rid of Diggs or don't pay him, but there is something going on right now at the moment. So it could be a reason why they could be looking for more receivers. Again, I just don't see him gone. Leo Chenal, linebacker from Wisconsin, who's kind of just purely right now. He's probably one of the better ones in the class stopping a run. He's just not flashy outside of that. I think that he tested extremely well at the combine. he's athletic, but he looks more stiff than what the combine numbers say. I think mainly right now he can grow, obviously, but mainly he's going to come in and stop the run at a pretty high level. It's exactly kind of what the Falcons need from the linebacker position, especially losing Aluokun. Deion Jones struggled a little bit, stopping a run last year. Packers grabbed their offensive lineman here, John Maurice Sawyer from Georgia, who played left tackle, right tackle, guard. The versatility and the injuries the Packers have from the offensive line. They had some injuries at right tackle last year. Obviously, Bakhtiari missed most of the year. Eldon Jenkins got hurt, so I think having that ability to play at all those spots at a pretty high level would appeal to the Packers here. Buccaneers, they did get Fournette back. They got Bernard back. They lost Ronald Jones. They're always looking for running backs here. Breece Hall, possibly RB1, Meyer RB1. They take him. I think they take him here with not a ton of glaring needs here. I keep saying it, though. Hall, Walker, it's just tough to mock these guys, It might be easier to mock James Cook, but somebody's got to take him around this range. Niners lost some interior offensive linemen, obviously, so they get Cole Strange, who can play guard or center. Chiefs, I love the fit of Walker, kind of gearing more towards that power running scheme at times. Walker fits that. Bengals go Trey McBride, so they grab the tight end. Parrot Hayden Hurst, who's on a 1-year deal. McBride, equally as good blocking in-line position and catching the ball downfield as well. And the Broncos go Muma, linebacker from Wyoming, pretty flashy in coverage, pretty athletic, rangy. Could be a little better stopping the run, but the Broncos could use pretty complete team, could use another linebacker, maybe a best available situation there for the Broncos. So that is my updated 2-round mock after a lot of buzz has come out, mainly about those offensive linemen. It's been crazy. Trying to decipher what's smoke and what's not. That's always what makes the draft very unpredictable and why we love it. And that Saints-Eagles trade was pretty wild. So I'm really curious to see what the Saints are up to here with that one. So, let me know your guys' thoughts. Just because I made this mock, a big trade's about to go down. So if it does, you know that I deserve the credit. I think that's how it works these days. I'm going to lose it if something else big happens again, right, when this uploads. But we'll see. We'll see if I have to update it again. But, join us for all that NFL draft content leading up to the draft, even after grades, rankings, all those, fun videos there. So, follow that Twitter as well. Link down below. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.